You're at a party, or a bar, or even just sitting around the dinner table with family, and suddenly, the room erupts. People are screaming at a television. Their faces are contorted with either pure rage or ecstatic joy, and they're talking about we as if they were actually on the field themselves. You look around, and for the thousandth time, you realize you feel absolutely nothing. You're not angry, you're not excited, you're just bored. You wonder if there's a chip missing in your brain, or if you're somehow less human because you don't feel the tribal pull of a leather ball moving across a grass field. Today, on The Inverse Mind, we are going to validate that silence. We're going to deconstruct the neurobiology of the non-fan, explore why your brain rejects the BIRGing effect, and reveal why your lack of sports obsession might actually be a sign of a more stable, sovereign identity. Stay until the end, because I'm going to show you how your indifference is actually a psychological edge in a world that is addicted to vicarious living. Before we dive into the data, I want to ask you something that usually gets people in trouble. Is sports culture actually just a socially acceptable form of adult arrested development, or is it a vital necessity for human survival? Tell me your most controversial take in the comments. I want to see the tribes clash on this one. To understand why you don't care about sports, we first have to understand why the rest of the world is so obsessed. It all comes down to the primal tribe. For 99% of human history, if you weren't part of a group, you died. Your brain evolved to crave the us. When a sports fan watches their team, their brain isn't just seeing a game, it's experiencing a simulated tribal war. The brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which tricks the fan into feeling like those millionaire athletes are their literal brothers in arms. But for you, the inverse thinker, that oxytocin trigger is either dialed down or directed elsewhere. You don't have the tribal glitch. You see 11 strangers in matching shirts, and your brain correctly identifies them as 11 strangers in matching shirts. This isn't a lack of emotion, it's a high level of perceptual accuracy. You are seeing reality as it is, while the fan is seeing a hallucination of belonging. There is a fascinating psychological phenomenon called BIRGing, or basking in reflected glory. This is why fans say, "we won," when the team succeeds. They are literally stealing the success of others to boost their own self-esteem. When the team loses, they switch to, "they lost." This is called corfing, or cutting off reflected failure. It's a psychological survival tactic for people with unstable self-concepts. But if you don't care about sports, your self-esteem likely isn't a roller coaster tied to someone else's physical performance. You have consistent self-concept. You don't need a quarterback to win a game for you to feel like a winner in your own life. You are the source of your own glory, which makes you far more resilient to the ups and downs of the external world. Let's talk about the dopamine trap. Sports are designed to be a dopamine slot machine. Every play is an unpredictable outcome. Will they score? Will they fumble? This intermittent reinforcement is the most addictive reward schedule known to science. It's the same mechanism that keeps people pulling the lever on a slot machine until their bank account is empty. Sports fans are often dopamine junkies for vicarious competition. Their brains are wired to seek out these micro hits of adrenaline and reward. If you find sports boring, it might be because your dopamine system has a higher threshold for meaning. You don't get a hit from a random event that doesn't affect your actual life. Your brain demands direct agency. You want to be the one making the move, writing the code, or creating the art. You aren't boring. You're just a participant, not a spectator. There is also a genetic component to your indifference. Research suggests that variations in dopamine receptor genes, specifically the DRD2 and DRD4 genes, can predict how much an individual cares about competitive spectator activities. Some people are literally born with a brain that finds the drama of sports to be noise rather than music. You aren't choosing to be disinterested. Your neurobiology is simply tuned to a different frequency. You are likely seeking high-resolution complexity, things like art, science, philosophy, or deep personal relationships, where the patterns are more intricate than get the ball to the other side. We also have to look at the empathy allocation theory. Society often labels sports fans as passionate and non-fans as cold, but the data shows the opposite. Sports fans often spend so much emotional energy on their parasocial relationships with athletes that they have less bandwidth for the real people in their lives. They are emotionally exhausted by a game, leaving them unavailable for their partner or their children. As a non-fan, your empathy is concentrated rather than diffused. You aren't wasting your tears on a lost championship. You are saving them for the moments that actually matter. This is resource sovereignty. You are the master of your own heart, refusing to let corporations and broadcasters dictate your emotional state. One of the most radical things about not caring about sports is the reclamation of time. The average sports fan spends roughly 10 to 15 hours a week consuming sports content. Over a lifetime, that is years of consciousness dedicated to a narrative they cannot control and that yields no tangible benefit to their personal growth. By opting out, you are reclaiming thousands of hours of your life. You are moving from a spectator existence to an active existence. While they are watching the underdog story on a screen, you are living your own. You are the protagonist of your own life, not a background character in someone else's multi-billion-dollar business. Let's address the social exclusion aspect. Many people who don't care about sports feel a sense of social anxiety or otherness. They feel like they don't have the code to talk to other men or participate in office banter. But here's the inverse truth. This otherness is actually a filter for quality. When you don't have the crutch of sports talk, you are forced to build connections based on actual ideas, shared values, and real personality. You find the people who are interested in you, not just your opinion on a draft pick. Your social circle might be smaller, but it is infinitely deeper. You are trading width for depth. There is a psychological state called flow, where you are completely absorbed in an activity. Sports fans get a passive flow from watching games. It's a form of escapism. But the active flow you get from a hobby, a craft, or a difficult problem is neurologically superior. It builds neural pathways. It increases cognitive flexibility. It creates lasting satisfaction. The sports fan's high disappears the moment the whistle blows. Your high, the high of creation and understanding, stays with you. It becomes part of your mental architecture. We also need to deconstruct the masculinity myth. In many cultures, sports interest is treated as a litmus test for manliness. But true masculinity, or true adulthood, is about agency and protection. It's about building things, solving problems, and taking care of your tribe. Screaming at a TV because a man in a helmet dropped a ball is not an act of strength. It's an act of emotional reactivity. By staying calm while the room is in chaos, you are demonstrating a higher level of emotional intelligence and self-regulation. You are the still point in a turning world. Some people stay away from sports because of early life conditioning. Maybe you were the uncoordinated kid who was shamed in gym class. Maybe your father used sports as a way to ignore you. In those cases, your indifference might be a protective boundary. You are rejecting a system that once rejected you, and that is a valid, sovereign choice. You don't have to reclaim sports to be healed. You just have to realize that the game was never the point. The point was your worth, which was never tied to your ability to catch a ball. In a world of hyperstimulation, where everything is designed to grab your attention and hold it for profit, being bored by the circus is a superpower. It means your attention filter is working. You aren't easily manipulated by flashing lights, dramatic music, and manufactured rivalries. You are looking for substance. You are looking for truth. You are looking for things that will actually move the needle in your life. The stadium is empty, the lights are off. The we has dissolved back into a collection of strangers who don't know your name. And you are still here, whole, sovereign, and focused. You aren't missing the game. You are the one playing the game that actually matters. If you've realized that your indifference is actually your greatest strength, or if you're ready to start investing your 15 hours a week back into yourself, subscribe to the Inverse Mind. We are deconstructing the scripts of the Spectator Society and reclaiming our autonomy, one quiet Sunday at a time. Tell me in the comments, what is the most productive or beautiful thing you've done with the time you saved by not being a sports fan? Let's inspire the people who are ready to quit the bleachers. You don't need a team to belong. You just need to be on your own side. I'll see you in the next one.